Hello, welcome to Garage Talk Unwrapped, the podcast with me, Vicky.
And me, Ben. In this episode, we're going to be looking at how to make EV charging simpler and more effective. And also, there's a little hint how you as a person can make money. In today's podcast, I talked to Matthew Teudor, who's a very successful entrepreneur from Canada, who now runs a company called EVDC.
So we haven't invested in an EV car yet, have we? I mean, we've looked at hybrids, but one of our main things was the whole range anxiety.
Especially as your parents are in Wales.
But also we travel a lot, all across the country.
Well, this weekend, we've been to Basingstoke, Birmingham, Tarpley. I don't think it's just range anxiety, though. I think it's also the accessibility. There's very few chargers around, and some of them that are around are run by corporates who want to make a lot of money out of them.
As we'll talk about, we're way behind where we should be with how many EV chargers we have. We've got so many problems in terms of how effectively we're utilising EV vehicles compared to the rest of Europe. We are adopting more EVs. There are more EVs in the UK, but we're still playing catch up, and it's a difficult road ahead, I think. However, as you know, there are lots of popular garages in the industry who've invested heavily in EV.
I wonder who you could be on about.
At last year's Schaeffler REPXPERT Conference, there was a certain Matt Cleevely on the panel. Let's have a listen to why he got into EV.
The reason I got into EV was because I'm passionate about renewable technologies. I'm passionate about this industry, and I wanted to know what was the future potentially for me to develop as a technician. That I stumbled across an EV. The reason I ended up with an EV dedicated business was because the main dealers are terrible at it. For EV adoption to happen, and I think it should, for the right circumstances, for the right people, I thought, well, there needed to be a business that supported that growth and gave the confidence to the consumer and the early adopter stage we were in at the time. We stuck our neck out and we said, if you own an EV, come to us, we'll look after it. I expected to be, or hoped to be, the busiest garage in Cheltenham, maybe Gloucestershire. And we ended up as the country's busiest EV repairer. I didn't know that there was such a big appetite for EVs to be repaired in the independent aftermarket. But you kind of get, when you visit a main dealer and you see how useless they are with it, I kind of got a feeling that there could be. And we were onto something. So we've really tailored our business around that, and we don't turn ICE away now. 55% of what we do still is ICE. Cleevely Motors is a 60-year-old, 3-generational business. And I thought, well, I don't want to be the generation that lets it dwindle to nothing.
And that's the issue you have, is that garages aren't going to grow. Whether we like it or not, all these governments are putting money into EVs. And governments they do waste a lot of money, but they're not going to let this go. So I think it is just people just have to look at that. Yeah,
and it is a lot of initial investment, the training, having the infrastructure there to be able to service and work on EV cars. But like you say, I don't actually think it's going away.
And also on that panel was Dean Lomas and Tim Benson, who have invested heavily into EV.
Yeah. They've
done that because they've seen the success of Matt, so Matt's leading.
Yeah, definitely. You can't deny that Matt's made a business out of working on EVs and servicing them. And it's like he says, if you've got a family where one person has an ICE vehicle, the other one has an EV, you're kind of forcing them to go to different garages, or you've been looking after a family's car for generations and suddenly their son or daughter has an EV car and they've got to go somewhere else now. Especially in smaller communities, it's quite a big thing having to change garage, isn't it?
Yeah, you are loyalty garage, so yeah, definitely.
I do like, though, that Matt Cleevely has EV in his surname. I mean, that logo was just... it was there ready for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I tell you what, the creative in this business. One thing you mentioned is infrastructure. And about 2 years ago, I spoke to the MD of Scottish Power, and he said the infrastructure for charging isn't there.
As in for the grid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I've got some stats here for you, Ben.
Oh.
As of the 1st of July this year, the UK had just over 82,002 public EV charging devices. So that's up 27% year on year. But the government's goal is to have 300,000 by 2030. So, how are we just coping with using all this electricity with nothing changing on the grid?
Well, funnily enough, I recently met a chap called Matthew Teudor.
Did you?
Yeah, in the middle of London from EVDC.
He's come over to the UK to try and have some conversations, and they're trying to disrupt the market. redefining the EV charging experience.
They are. I mean, they're in Europe at the moment. They're big in Europe, but it's actually a peer-to-peer network, and I'll let Matthew tell more about it rather than me because he knows a lot more about it. But he's just opened the doors to everybody being able to charge the vehicle when and where they want, and he's also opened the doors to, if you have a charger at your house, you can make profit from it. Yeah,
cheaper charging, helping that grid problem. But let's hear what Matthew said.
Matthew, all the way from Canada, EVDC. How come you're in the UK this week?
To try to discuss how we can make EV charging in the UK better, because as it stands, it's, in my opinion, horrible.
Okay.
Too expensive. Infrastructure is not that reliable. And compared to other places not so far from the UK, like, for example, Europe, where it's much, much better, much more affordable for EV drivers, where it actually makes sense to drive an electric car compared to like diesel or gasoline car.
How are you going to simplify that then?
I mean, in my opinion, everything comes down to pricing, first of all. I mean, if the infrastructure is good, but the pricing's too expensive, we still have a problem. If the infrastructure is okay, I mean, there's ways of moving around unreliable hardware, like flagging it on the app, sending messages to app operators, telling them that this unit is not working so they could remove it or assess the situation. And prices are good with this scenario where the infrastructure is okay, reliable, and prices are good. I think people will be much more lenient into driving an EV in the UK.
So tell us about the app. Obviously, the app is the key to this, isn't it?
So basically, our app is a charger map where you can go and locate chargers to find chargers and plug into them to charge your electric car. And the reason why we're strong in Europe and not in the UK, it's mainly because of pricing. And my goal is to make it sort of find reasoning why it's so expensive and try to see if there's ways of us lowering the costs. I mean, already on our app in the UK, we have no markup on the prices, like most of places, and it's still too expensive for EV drivers, in my opinion. So negotiating better rates with operators, trying to buy bigger chunks of kilowatt in advance, and that would hopefully significantly reduce kilowatt pricing.
Pricing is a massive issue, of course, but so is ease of use. So tell us about the actual intricacies of the app. Tell us what it's going to do for people.
So our app, in terms of ease of use, you don't even need an account to start charging your car. Let's say you arrive in the UK at the airport, you can just download the app, charge as a guest user. You click on guest user. Our app will automatically create a guest user account for you that follows your phone.
Okay.
So you technically still have an account, but it's not with your email. But you can still keep your credit card saved on the app so that you don't have to punch it in or put it in every time you use the app. Locating the chargers with your localization, wherever you are, you can see the chargers around. You can filter by operator, by power, and prices. Again, if the prices are low or considered okay, then people will still find it better than other apps or easier to use than other apps because prices are good.
But I think if it's an international app, it's going to be almost your companion, isn't it? It's going to be like, no matter, especially for people that travel and
definitely.
hire vehicles, it's going to be, I've got my app, I'll just plug in now. Then even need to look elsewhere.
Yeah, like let's say I landed in France the other day and I had my Android phone and didn't have my iPhone, and I just went on the app, created a guest user, put in my credit card. Literally 20 seconds, I was ready to plug in.
At Ben, we provide free health and wellbeing support for life to automotive industry people and their families. Whether you're struggling with stress, money worries, or your mental health, help is just a call away at 08081 311 333 or visit ben.org.uk to chat or access tips and tools.
The EV market is growing, obviously, and we need to become a mass market. How many people can you see being on the app? Because I think there's a next step, isn't there, which we'll come to shortly.
Well, currently we're approaching 100,000, between 60 and 100,000 users, and that's not all active users, of course. Some people will download just the app just to use it once, right? As I said, ease of location of chargers, reliable infrastructure, and pricing. This is the most important thing is pricing, because I mean, you're not going to go on another app, pay 40% more, just because you find that chargers are easier to start.
Yeah.
You know, if the charger works, even if, I mean, with our app, it's very easy to start. So we already have that ticked off. But in my opinion, why I'm focusing on pricing, because that's why people buy electric cars. Not everybody buys an electric car to drive more efficiently or for the environment. Some people buy the electric car so that they charge at home, and then when they leave their house, they have a full battery in their car, and then they could go on with their day without having to stop at the pump or without paying the exorbitant cost of petrol. But what's the point of driving an electric car if let's say you didn't care about the environment? Okay, what's the point? Like, let's say if you compare apples to apples, the diesel car will give you more range for less than what you would do charging an electric car in the UK. Like, it's not it's just replacing. It's not a better alternative, in my opinion. In the UK, in places like Italy, where you could charge your car for 25 cents a kilowatt, that's interesting. You know, because with the offset of the range and the electric car, when you go on a highway, you get less range. It evens out, and you're slightly better off driving an electric car than a diesel.
You just picked up a prevalent point there. You've come from another country. We're in holiday season in the UK. I'm sorry it's so hot and humid today while you're here. But the first thing you do when you arrive at a country and you get your car is you have to find somewhere to fill up at the moment, predominantly.
Oh yes, like a diesel car.
But what you're doing is actually, as soon as you come off the ferry, look at your app on holiday, bang, I need to charge my car up there. No need for that panic, no need for that first 2 hours trying to find somewhere to fill up. You're actually taking a lot of stress off holiday makers, aren't you?
Yes, because when you stop, well, first of all, let's start from the beginning. You arrive at the airport, all right? You go and get your luggage from the carousel, and then you go on and make your way to the rental counter, all right? Now, at the rental counter, they give you what they have, electric, non-electric. They will tell you, do you prefer this or this, if they have inventory. But if you're going on a high season, there's a lot of people. If they have an electric car and that's all they have, you're going to take it, all right? And then they give you a little fob, with the key. All right, they tell you, oh, you can use that to charge your car. Okay, but where do I charge? There's no screen that tells you where to charge. And then when you go in the car infotainment system, you look out for chargers. It doesn't tell you if that fob works with that charger that you see on your car screen. Yeah. So essentially, you need an app. Now, what's cool about our app is that you can just download our app, and within 20 seconds, if you have a credit card, you could start charging. And what's cool about our app even more, like an interesting cool factor, you can also pay with crypto. So if you have crypto, you don't even need a credit card.
Am I the only person who doesn't know what crypto is?
Yeah, I think that's another conversation. We won't go into that. I think the thing for me is Matthew's a very successful businessman, so I trust him. And I don't actually think he's in this for the money. I think he's in to disrupt the market and show that the UK, we need to grow up and we need electric vehicles, and we need to accept that. Yeah, and he's right in what he's saying when you compare the UK to other countries in Europe in terms of how many EV cars they have and how many chargers they have. I mean, like I said, the UK is just over 82,000 public chargers for around 2.5 million plug-in vehicles. So that's roughly one charger every 30 EVs, whereas Netherlands, so many facts today, Netherlands has around 180,000 public chargers for over 1 million plug-in vehicles, so one charger every 6 EVs. Very interesting, Victoria. Name more for Matthew on his solution to the EV charging problem. One thing that also has piqued my interest, and I'm sure many people's, is that you're becoming a whole network. It's not just the things you're actually bringing out these lovely chargers, but these will be registered on your app, won't they?
Yes. So let's say this is a charger we built for peers. So basically, people buy these. They function on 3-phase or single phase. And you put this in front of your house or in front of your office, right? And people come in, right? They see it on the map in the car. They see it on other apps, not just ours. We do the mapping service as well for your charger when you install or buy it. And then they bring in their cable, they plug in here, and they could get 22 kilowatts or 7 kilowatts, depending on your power infrastructure. And that is added to the EVDC ecosystem. So it's part of the whole ecosystem. So we have chargers by peers, which eliminates some kind of range anxiety. So let's say you're going somewhere, there's no charger, but there's a peer that shares this charger. You can stop there and top off for a quick hour or two while you're doing your other activities, like meeting your friends or eating in a restaurant or golfing or whatever. And that's what's cool about it. It's so easy to install. It's not very expensive. People can build their own fleet of chargers, and that's all added to our EVDC app.
But also, the people that have these, they're going to make a little bit of money off the charging as well, aren't they?
Yes, it's basically like Airbnb of charging. So basically, you buy this, you install it, and people come charge, and we charge you a fee of 8% for the network fee, the mapping service, the marketing around your unit, and the rest you keep, and you pay your utility bill. So you keep 92%, and you have to pay your utility bill. So let's say the price per kilowatt is 20 cents, and you charge 30 cents, and you're making 10 cents profit every time somebody comes and charges on your charger.
I get the feeling this is just the start. I get the feeling there's a lot more to come from your good self. I mean, you've flown in from Canada this week. You're a very successful entrepreneur previously. Will you keep in touch with us and tell us where you're going to go in the future?
Well, we're planning on scaling more, lower pricing, deploying thousands of these units, making a real impact. That's our goal, to make a real impact. I want to feel that what I've built has changed or disrupted the charging industry worldwide.
Why? Are you frustrated with it?
I'm frustrated with it to the points of, I feel like, not that we've been scammed, but the electric car came, everybody's like, oh, we're going to drive electric so we don't, spend a fortune at the pump. And they sold it as if it was this, oh, drive an electric car, you don't have to stop at the pump, and they're costing you hundreds of dollars or pounds, And now it's like, you want to charge your car on the public network, it's costing you the same, if not more.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody's been scammed. I don't want to say scammed, as it's a pretty aggressive word, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because they sold, the idea that came, the marketing that came with the electric car, that it was better in every way, right? Better on range, better on power consumption, better for the environment, better for savings at the pump. You don't pay for gas, you pay electricity. And Tesla, when they started, they were very good at this. They offered free charging, the cars were cheap, and even now they're still the prices are okay for Teslas, but the other networks, it's like there's no standard of what the price should be.
There's no joined up thinking. Somebody from the recovery industry recently said to me, everybody's forgot about the recovery industry. People also forgot about the system itself, the network itself. So let's hope that you can bring a industry that needs bringing together. Let's hope you can do that over the next few weeks, months and years. I hope, but I'll need the help of all the users.
If everybody uses it and shares it to other people, then we could create a movement.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I think the thing I like is you're putting money in people's pockets. And I think that's more than any government has done over the last few, no matter what they portray. That's the key, isn't it? That's what's going to build this network.
Yeah, I love the Airbnb of electric chargers.
Thought you might. You like a good Airbnb, don't you?
It just explains it really well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But going back to the price, do you know how much it costs to charge an EV? Obviously, we don't have one.
No, I don't. I've never looked into it, I'll be honest.
So home charging can cost as little as around 7p per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
Whereas the public charging rates can be up to 10 times higher than that.
Someone's making some money somewhere.
Tell me about it. A major factor in that is that you pay 5% VAT on home electricity versus 20% on public charging. So if people are charging at motorway stations or garages out and about, they're just paying extortion. Like Matthew was saying, the same as basically filling up a petrol or diesel car. There's no benefit cost-wise.
Well, I noticed we obviously travelled a lot over the weekend, and at the service stations, it's 162.7p per litre of unleaded. It's 131p in the supermarkets, which are usually the cheapest option. 30p a litre them service stations are making on the motorways.
Talk about a scam.
Yeah, talk about a scam.
The other issue with the public chargers is where they are. We go to Wales quite often to see my family.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've seen any there, but apparently, I looked this up, apparently there's just over 3,500 public EV chargers in Wales.
How many are in Cardiff?
Well, yeah, exactly. None are going to be in Dolgellau, are they?
No.
But half of the public chargers that are there at the moment are London and the South East.
Okay. So the London-centric country as always?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't help everybody else, does it? It doesn't help people living in Scotland. If you'd like to sponsor an episode or advertise with Garage Talk, email hello@garagetalkonline.co.uk. For people who charge their cars at home, if you haven't got a driveway, we've seen someone around ours who has a cable coming out of their kitchen window.
No, at the letterbox, isn't it?
I don't know. With the charger in a plastic bag.
I know, safe.
Just charging the car. But it is true, if you haven't got a driveway to install your charger, then it does make life more difficult, and then you have to pay the extortionate prices at the public ones. But there's a £25 million government initiative aimed to help households without driveways install these home chargers. You get a grant of £350.
Well, does that cover, though? That's not going to cover a charger. Still asking people to invest a lot of money there.
Yeah, but not even that. You have to get planning permission first, street works licenses before the work starts. The councils reject it because of health and safety, of having the cables across pavements and stuff. It seems like there's so many stumbling blocks all the time to do with EV.
The good old helpful councils of the UK. They'll be on carbon footprint targets. So surely assisting others, that can go towards their carbon footprint target.
When have you heard of the council assisting others?
Yeah, you're right. Anyway,
before we go down a rabbit hole.
Yes. Now, the other problem we have is our industry.
Oh, do tell.
There's many skeptics in this industry, and some of them are really prominent, and they should be publicising the fact that we need to change, and it's healthy for the garage to look at these investments. But as we know at the Schaeffler Conference last year, there's some not so positive people in the industry who don't believe in electric vehicles, and actually sat in front of the Matt Cleevleys and Tim Benson of the world and Dean Lomassers, who invested a lot of money, and told them to waste their money.
There was a bit of tension, wasn't there?
Let's play it. Andy Savva, the garage inspector.
Andy, you've stayed in the room, so thank you. You've been listening patiently.
It's over.
It's over. You've never been an advocate for EV, so why is that?
So first of all, I respect for Matt for what he's doing. He's in a very niche market and he's at the top of his game, so that needs to be applauded, right? I'll tell you why. And I've been saying this consistently for a long time. It's not for everyone. It's actually not for the majority, right? And the problem with our trade is that when there's a lot of noise about something, everyone follows. And everyone follows without actually doing a lot of research within their given area, right? And they invest in this equipment or the tooling, and then it's all sitting there doing nothing, right? Now, if I opened the garage tomorrow, I wouldn't care one iota about EV vehicles, because that's not what's going to make me money. There's enough of the other, and enough for the next 30 years for me to make my living and more, right? And the practicalities of EV ownership, for me, when I've done my little research, is only for about 10 or 12% of the population. And I'll tell you something, that's going to be less. And I'll tell you what's going to happen, and I'll say it in this forum, and maybe one day on my tombstone or gravestone, whatever you want to call it, you would have heard it in 2024. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, everyone was telling everyone to go and buy diesel cars. Yes? And those people that bought diesel cars, what happened to them? And the same thing's going to happen with EV, my friends. All right? And you've all got to wake up and smell the coffee.
But they won't still have them, because they'll all be scrap.
Maybe. All right? So I'm not saying to you that in some areas of the country that you can't make a good living and offer a professional service like Matt does in EV, but it's not for the majority. And you need to make sure that you do your research in your own marketplace before you decide. I'm not saying to you EV technology won't progress. Of course it progresses. But I'm going to tell you something now, is that there's too much noise around it, and we're forgetting about the existing customers that you have and the technology that's still out there, that will be out there for the next 15, 20, 30 years.
If there is all of this ICE vehicle work out there, and there is, you're seeing it, why get distracted by EV?
So I wanted to not turn my back. So our job is to look after our customers' vehicles. That should be, regardless of fuel type, in my opinion. And there are a multitude of arguments against EV, but I think burying your head in the sand about electrification as a fuel type I think as a garage, you should be making a decision as to whether you agree that electrification is here to stay and that we should have some part in it for the future of your business and to keep your customer base, or not. And you could argue all day about electric cars specifically, but when you've got BEVs and FEVs and mild hybrids and all those things, that's not going to go away overnight. This is here. We're over 1 million cars on the road of EVs already. So, and that's BEVs alone. Once you throw in FEVs as well, we're up again. So there's a revenue stream there. There's money to be made out there. There are our customers using them. Why would we turn our back on any of them when we're there to provide them a service?
So a man who is meant to be future-proofing garages is only future-proofing for 15 years.
The only thing I would slightly agree is him saying that we're focusing too much on EVs, and I'd only agree in terms of training or in terms of recruitment, because like we've said many times before, we're always looking for technicians now to try and make sure that they can work on EV cars. But, you know, a lot of the parts of the car are still, as they have been for years and will be for years, we still need mechanics. So that's the only thing I would agree that there's too much of a focus on EV, but all of the rest of it, like Matt said, just completely burying his head in the sand.
So setting up a garage today, like he said he would, he'd have 15 years worth of business, according to his own comments there.
He's not passing that on to anyone, is he?
It's not going on in the family, is it? Not going after his kid's inheritance there, is he, to be fair? It's just arrogance, I think, is the fact we've got massive entrepreneurs who are far more successful than Andy Savva, the garage inspector, investing a lot of money into this. They're not there to lose money. Who would you trust, Victoria?
Out of who?
Out of Matthew Teudor, Matt Cleevely and Andy Savva.
As in, who would I listen to?
Who would you listen to give a business opinion?
Well, the fact that Matt has made a business out of working on EVs kind of tells me that it's going to work, and the fact that Matthew Teudor's already a successful business person. Yeah. I mean, I just loved the fact that when Andy Savva was talking, there was one person. One person who clapped. It kind of told you the feel of the room, I think.
There was about 400 in the room?
Probably. And that one lone clapper.
They don't even know who it was. Anyway, this debate's going to go on. We're not going to solve it in one podcast, are we?
No, but it's useful to know that, you know, EVDC are working on trying to solve the problem, trying to make charging cheaper, hopefully encourage more people to buy EVs and look at that sustainability piece. But yeah, there's so many facets to it.
And as we have said, we need to stop listening to the old guard. We need to welcome the new ideas to grow the industry.
We'll keep banging the drum, Ben.
We will do. So that's the end of the first episode.
Wrapped.
It's wrapped. Don't forget to follow Garage Talk Unwrapped on your favourite podcast app and switch on your notifications so you never miss an episode.
Next time, we'll be talking about the history of oil, talking to Andy Waite from Motul and Fuzz Townsend from Car SOS.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.